Welcome back. Truth TV is back. I have not been on here in a minute, and I will go over and talk about that sooner. I will talk about that later down the line. Why I haven't been online, haven't been making videos. A lot that's going on, and I will explain that in the near future. But I am back. And, there's a lot of stuff been going on, especially on Black YouTube. And the reason why I said, you know what, I have to come on here. I have to come on and I have to start combating these people, and especially the FBA crowd. Now, I have said before in plenty of videos that there is no such thing as FBA. FBA is not a term to me. FBA doesn't exist. No one uses FBA outside of the internet. I don't see a whole bunch of black people talking about, oh, I'm FBA, I'm FBA, I'm ADOS, I'm B1, I'm Black One. I don't see none of that. I don't see it. Okay, FBA is not on a job application. Okay, so that phony FBA nonsense to me is ridiculous. Which brings me to Phillip Scott. Phillip Scott, to me, is a fraud. And you say, well, B, why you truth? Why you say he's a fraud? He's done a lot for the black community. And I sit here and I counter that and I said, what has he done for the black community? What laws did he get changed in the black community? Okay. Is he out on the streets? What's he doing? Did he is he out on the streets screaming for reparations? So in my opinion, he has done nothing for the black community but just running his mouth online, talking about FBA this, FBA that, saying if black people are from America, all black people that were born in the United States are considered FBA. Don't lump me into that because I don't identify myself as FBA. I'm either Black American or African American. I'm not FBA, Foundational Black America. That sounds so ridiculous. That sounds so stupid. Since Tariq Nasheed coined that phrase and trademarked it, everybody want to jump on the bandwagon, and you can't even get a shirt with the term FBA because the man done trademarked it, so you can't even do anything with it. But it's crazy to me. And I know a lot of other YouTubers, do stuff like that, but I don't pay attention to some of them. I listen to some of them, and some of them sound ridiculous too. The Black Authority, Professor Black, the Black Alpha Network. It's the same talking points all the time. Okay, and to understand Phil Scott, you have to go all the way back. Now, I first came across Phil back in 2012, 2013. He was just doing YouTube, making video commentary. He wasn't on this pro-black power to the people. He was not on that. Okay. Then a few weeks after that, I ran into listen. I said Tommy Sotomayor. I started watching his content, and at that time, I didn't know the gist of it. But Tommy and Phil, they were having certain beef online, and at one point, they seemed to have patched it up. At one point, they seemed to patch it up. Everything was cool with them. Everything was cool. Once they patched it up, they were talking about they were gonna, collaborate on videos. Then I guess another fallout came. They had another fallout, and when I saw that Tommy was killing Phil on his videos, was just destroying Phil verbally in his videos, just killing him. And I think it got to a point where Phil, and he was doing videos behind a door or doing videos in a bathroom, that at one point he got the authority. He would threaten to get the authorities involved because he thought Tommy was going way out of control. And I didn't think that Tommy was threatening his life, that he was calling for somebody to put harm on him. But Phil got to a point where he made a video saying, "Well, I'm going to get the authorities involved," and they gave him a business card or something that, hey, if he keeps harassing you, call this number. And I'm like, all of this over some YouTube beef where y'all could have just went ahead and hashed it out. And it was at a point where Phil had a radio show called Blog Talk Radio. It was him and another woman named Gabriella. They had a show. And Tommy called the radio show. Tommy called in the radio show because he wanted to have a conversation. Phil did not want any part of that conversation. He was being evasive. He was being dismissive. And even to the point Gabrielle had to step in and say, y'all got two grown, men sitting there arguing over online beef. And I guess Tommy got to the point and said, you know what, man, he was done with it. And then Phil would be like, anybody would mention his name, he would go on and say, hey, please don't mention that man's name in my presence. Please don't mention that man's name on my platform. And I'm like, yo, I said, and you don't want his name mentioned for what? Like, that name, mentioning his name struck a nerve with him. Because even when he did interviews with other YouTubers, I think it was Professor Jab or Sinetta, and someone would bring up Tommy's name, he would say, please don't mention that man's name. And I'm like, yo, what did he do to you? Or something like that. And I couldn't understand that. But okay, that's what it was. He was okay. Before they was doing videos in his bathroom, and he would always talk about black women, calling them hyena hood rats. I remember that. And he would do blog talk radio shows on hood rats. On, man, these black women are crazy. Okay, I have some of his blog talk radio recordings on my other phone. So when people say I'm making stuff up, I do have receipts. I will pull receipts out. I have an old phone where some of his shows I have recorded. Okay? And don't get me wrong, I used to listen to Phil back in the day. I used to call on his radio shows and stuff like that about 10, 15 years ago. Okay, yeah, I mean, it was something different, yeah. But it was just, in a couple of years, and you talking about black women this, black women that, and he was married to a black woman. I think he had a son or something like that. Yes, his wife did him wrong, did him dirty, and He mentioned on one of his shows that he lost everything to a point where he was relegated to a 1-bedroom apartment. And he got it all back. And I'm like, I say, hey, you get it all back. You get it all back. Great. That's good for you. Okay. Then he met this other one, met his wife on POF. Like I said, I don't have to make stuff up. He met his wife on POF. Not a problem. A lot of people get married, they meet on dating sites. Met her on POF. Okay. And evidently he was against dealing with people, dealing with single mothers. But he met this woman, and I guess she had 2 or 3 kids. I'm not sure. But they got married. I think he said they got married within 6 to 8 months or a year or something or whatever. Like I said, don't quote me. But they didn't have a strong out 2-year relationship. Like, they got married pretty quick. Okay. He ended up having a daughter by her. All right. Oh, okay. That's the end of that. Okay. But the one thing that got me really, really leery about him is when it was a YouTube apocalypse. It was a YouTube crisis, and they were just cutting back on channels. YouTube was making all these changes. And he was sitting there saying, you know what, please donate to the Patreon, do this so we can keep our channel running. Because he was talking about if he didn't keep his channel, if they couldn't get donations, that he would have to shut his channel down. So fast forward, and a few months later, people wasn't really donating like that. And he said, you know what? I'm going to shut my channel down. I'm not making no more videos. If you want to see my videos, you have to donate to my Patreon. And I remember a lot of people being in an uproar. And I'm sitting here saying, you're going to shut your channel down because people are not giving you money. They're not giving you money. They're not paying. Like, YouTube is free. You chose to do that. So people have a right to support you or not support you. But you don't shame people in support. You say, well, I'm not doing no more videos until you get money from me, till you give me money. And that's what it came off of. And a lot of people didn't like that. And they said, well, who does he think he are? Knowing the fact that he wasn't a real news channel. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a real news channel and a news organization will have people out in the field talking about different news stories instead of having somebody sit behind a desk going on a local news website at 6 ABC websites. This is in Philly, so I'm just stating out local stations. An NBC 10 website, a Fox 29 website, and getting stories and coming online and reading what they done reported. So it wasn't real news. You were just reading from an online article. There's recycled news clips that somebody can go online and watch themselves. So I'm like, yo, you really gonna shut your channel down because nobody was giving you money? Wow. So that got me leery about him. Like, oh, okay, man. So he one of those now. Run me my check. Okay. And then I guess a few moments later, he got his channel put back up like that. It's that and the third. Okay. All right, fine. And then the scandal came out. The small YouTube scandal that his wife was not black. And I guess a photo resurfaced or something like that stating that, oh, his wife wasn't black. His wife was Latino or Mexican, and he got killed on that. he got totally destroyed on that, because at that time you were sitting there pushing so hard on black people or black men getting with black women, and here you go with a whole Mexican family, a whole Mexican family, but you telling people, oh, we need to start dating we need to start having black families, but you don't have a black family. You had a whole Mexican family. And I'm like, wow. So that came out. So he had to go on various platforms and explaining about that. Explaining about that. Eventually, he lost a lot of subscribers with that, and I guess he recovered. And then fast forward, he decided to take a trip to Ethiopia. Now, mind you, he wasn't talking about nothing South Africa, nothing outside of the United States and everything. He takes a trip to Ethiopia. Soon as he come back from Ethiopia, oh, I'm going to change my platform. I'm going to change. And by the way, before he did that, okay, and before he did that, okay, he was talking about white supremacy, and he was talking about crimes in our community with like certain black people harming other black people in the community. And I said, okay, that's fine. We need to hold people accountable. But at a certain point, he stopped doing that, and they said, you know what? I'm going to cherry pick every racism story. I'm going to cherry pick white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Every video was a white supremacy story. Every video. Almost every video was a white supremacy story, a racism story. And I'm like, okay. It's like it becomes saturated when all you do is talk about that. And it's like, and it got to a point where there was a little girl that was shot in Houston or somewhere. She was shot in a car somewhere. And everybody did a rally. Phil was on that story. He had gotten other people involved in his platform. Then they were doing that story, talking about this white person need to be arrested and need to be thrown underneath the jail. And they were just doing rallies and everything like that. Come to think of it, the white guy didn't even kill her. It was a black person that did that. As soon as they found out that a black person did that, you could silence. You never heard that story again. You never heard it. And that's what I said. Oh, so black life only matters when a little girl gets killed if a white person did it. But it didn't matter if one of the savages in our community did it. You just went silent. I don't care. It ain't racism. Oh, well, leave it alone. It was kind of like, okay. It was kind of like, oh, it's okay if a black person kills another black person. We don't talk about that. We're okay with that. And that's what kind of like, he a little funny to me. So I'm gonna fast forward back again when he went to Ethiopia. He changed his whole platform up. He changed his whole platform up, talking about Africa, saying if you anti-Africa, you're going to get blocked. And I remember he did a video on Roland Martin, and this is where me and him, kind of, we ain't full mess with each other after that. I reposted something that he said on Twitter, and it was tagged African Diaspora It was a advice show. I think it was still the advice show. I don't know. And then the video was posted to Roland Martin. This person he blocks me. I'm like, I guess he was so butthurt he blocked me and then went on TikTok or something like that and had the audacity to call me messy because I reposted a video on Twitter with his handle on it. Like, bruh, that is so messy. Like, you get in your feelings. The thing is, you get in your feelings all the time. You talk about you are strong, you strong. I'm a man. But sometimes you get into your feelings. Sometimes he really does. Sometimes. Okay, he changes his platform, and then he starts talking about people. Yo, you know what? We black people should just move to Africa. Black people should just move to Africa. Move to Africa. And this really was starting selling trips online on his channel. He was, promoting trips. It was like a good 3 or 4 years. Hey, you take this trip, pay this, take this trip, do that, do that. Like I said, people in the business making money, that's fine. But you focus your whole channel on the African continent. And I'm like, black people ain't really worrying about what's going on abroad, Africa, South Africa. They worry about what's going on in the U.S. They ain't really worrying about what's going on in Africa. They ain't really worrying about that. Okay? They're not really worried about that. And to me, what I've learned from him over the years, he's a grifter. This man is a grifter. And he's a flip-flopper. Because you spent all of this time during the election season killing Kamala Harris, making video after video every day during election season, attacking Kamala Harris. Why you shouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. You should sit on the couch or you should vote for Trump. Okay? Vote for Trump and shaming people. Well, if you vote for Kamala Harris, then you know what? You get exactly what you deserve. Oh, you criticize from if she's not black, she's not FBA, she married a white man. You criticize her in wearing pantsuit. You criticize how she dressed, and I'm like, yo, why are you so obsessed with how this woman dresses? If she wants to wear a pantsuit, she wears a pantsuit. But you were so obsessed on how she dressed. You were so obsessed about, where she wasn't born here. She didn't have 2 black parents. Like, you were so obsessed with that. And I'm saying to myself, well, like, why? Oh, she's not FBA. And then when Trump got in, you sat there, you celebrated, and you said, you know what? Black people are going to be okay. Black people are thriving. Black people are living it up. You hyping people up, and that's not even the case. Because there's a lot of people that I talk to in this economy that they got to go out there. They got to get 2 jobs. They got to go out there. They have to do DoorDash. They got to do Uber Eats. They got to drive for Uber or Lyft and work a 8 to 10 hour job on top of that. Because how bad the economy is. Gas is $4 a gallon. And you sitting there saying, oh, black people are thriving. Where? Where? All you is like where? Again, making stuff up. Oh, Project 2025 isn't real. What? Just making stuff up. And then you're going to talk about the delineation movement. And I'm like, delineation? That sounds like something that you get played in the video game, delineate or something. I'm like, when they start saying delineation movement, oh, well, we're not gonna be, looking out for other groups. We're not gonna be supporting other groups. If a black immigrant gets tied up by ICE or gets killed by ICE, we're not going out there. We're gonna mind our business and we're gonna watch and sip on our soda. And I'm like, what? What is that? Oh, black immigrants ain't FBA. Just like the white folks will say something to them, they will easily say something to you. They will easily call you the N-word. And then another thing, and this drives me crazy, because you sit here and you call white people the folks. And I'm sitting there saying, I'm like, what is he talking about? The folks, the folks, the folks. And I'm like, what? And I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, just say white people. You sitting there using other terms, just say white people. Because your channel right now is basically predicated on divisiveness. That's what it's predicated to. You can't say certain things, but, FBA is basically a hate group. That's what it basically is. And then you sit here and then you talk about going back to segregation, which and I'm like, and I'm shaking my head with that. Like, who in their right mind will go back to segregation? And I said, okay, if you go back to segregation, you can't go in certain stores. You can't go in certain areas. You can't go in certain restaurants to eat. The cops could bring back the water hose. The cops can bring back them dogs. Okay, racist white folks can go out there killing black people and getting away with it. But you want to go back to segregation. Do you know what happened with Emmett Till? Do you know what happened to a lot of these other black civil rights leaders that got killed? Where the racist white folks that killed those people, that got and killed Emmett Till, got off? But you want to go back to that time where white folks will get away with killing black people. But you want to go to segregation. So all you do is you profit off of black people's pain. That's what you do. You profit off of chaos. You don't care about black people like that, because if you cared about black people, you wouldn't be trying to uplift them. No, you sitting there, you spreading hate. That's what you're doing. Every video you do, you talk about white people. You hate white people. Just say you hate white people. Just say that. Just say you hate white people. Because you try to clean up and say, oh, I don't have hatred towards anybody. Apparently you do. You have hatred towards whites. You have hatred towards black immigrants. You have hatred towards Spanish people, Puerto Ricans, Asians. You have hatred towards everybody. And you have hatred towards the Democrats. So if a black person is a Democrat, you'll kill you hate them. Just like what you did at that Ohio Black Expo, where you barely tried to humiliate that brother and tried to humiliate that black woman up on stage because they didn't agree with how you moved. talking about, oh, you got 12 months to change, or I'm going to be on your neck. I'm going to be on your neck. Who the hell are you talking to? But you for the black community. No, bruh, you're only out for yourself. You only out for yourself. You ain't for no black community. And you're not a real news organization. Just like I said, you're not a news organization. You're not a news network. You're not a news channel. Okay? You're going up there wearing suits and ties like you a news guy. You're not a news channel. You're not. You want to be Roland Martin so bad, you can't. And yeah, I don't agree with everything Roland Martin does or everything he says. But Roland Martin has more of a following than you will ever have. Because right now with this FBA nonsense, it's a joke. It is a joke. And then you got the app telling people, oh, go purchase the app. Go subscribe to the app. But what are you offering on the app that's going to benefit black people? Because you talk about all this AI. You talk about, oh, AI is the new thing. Well, a lot of people don't know how to utilize AI. So, okay, so why don't you do this? Hey, those of you who subscribe to my channel, I'm going to do a quick video tutorial on how you can profit making money doing AI. Why don't you do that? You're not going to do that, right? Offering incentives. Because you got all this AI stuff, like show people how to use AI and how to utilize it. But you're not going to do that, though. You're not going to do it. So those of y'all who blindly follow this man, because I knew what it was 4 or 5 years ago, and sometimes I'll just watch to see what kind of nonsense he'll spew out of his mouth. Now, are there things that he says that I can agree with? Yes. But a broken clock can be right twice a day. Okay? Somebody that you can't stand says 1 + 1 is 2. Okay, 1 + 1 is 2. It don't take a genius to know that. He didn't come up with that. So I'm not saying that the man ain't dumb. It's just that he's using what's popular to grift off of people. It's popular to grift. And he's grifting all the way to the bank. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that. Tell me what you think about the video. Like and comment and subscribe for more commentary.